Getting it started. All right, y'all. We are going to go ahead and get started. Of course, those who are joining can review the recording later. Welcome to another Discover, which is our program in VR for the Clubhouse Network. And we've been having these monthly VR workshop series. Some of them have been talking about careers. Some of them have been diving into some platforms. We were just talking about the Tribe one, the virtual DJing app before the call. And this one, Gus has actually led one before on workrooms. And this time he's jumping into Unity. And I don't want to take too much thunder from his presentation, but essentially Unity is like the building blocks of a lot of what's going on in the metaverse, a lot of AR applications. It's the building tools and the 3D elements and things like that that Gus will do a lot better of explaining than I did. So make sure to mute. We are going to record these sessions so that they are available now for all to kind of go back and see other sessions that we've had, as well as the startup resources that our consultant Barry and Gus have put together. So without further ado, I'll pass it on to Gustavo Madrigal.
Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining us here for today's workshop or this month's workshop. And yeah, so kind of as Jeff was saying, this is Unity. I don't know if you could put on your little reactions thing, but how many of you are familiar with Unity or have heard about it before? Okay, I see Jason. Okay, Ruben. I see Ruben. Okay, so Amelia. Okay, so I see a couple. So I'm guessing most are probably going to be new to Unity. Um, and so what is Unity? Unity essentially it's a game engine, and it's something that a lot of the video games that you probably play, if you play on mobile devices, it's probably made on Unity. But Unity has been a company that's been growing over the past few years, not only as a gaming creation company, but what they're calling like immersive experiences in other tech that includes the VR, AR, and other areas that even for example architecture and um, visual things that could be used in engineering and other industries like that need 3D visualization. They call it real time 3D rendering, and so it's that's like the powerful tool, right? And if you've used 3D tools at the clubhouse like Blender and Tinkercad, you might have some familiarity then with the way that the 3D environment works in Unity. Um, so today, though, what I want to show you more is that I want to show you two things. I want to show you Unity Learn, which is the platform on how to dive deep into Unity and even get certified. We'll explore right now a little bit more of what it looks like, what you could do in Unity Learn. And then I'm going to show you a how to get started with a lot of projects that are like templates ready to go that your members are going to love, and they're cool to get started and start learning Unity, because Unity does take a bit of time to learn and become an expert. Um, but it's also one of the most rewarding careers out there. According to LinkedIn, I believe that I don't know if it's still in the ranks, but back a few years ago, it was amongst the top 5 skills to have as in like the tech industry. So I think Unity developers are going to be in high demand still, and the company's been growing. Um, is crazy. As a side note, if you're into investing, check them out because they've grown like a lot into. So I put some of my money where my mouth is into investing in Unity, and it's done very well. And I think it's gonna grow. I don't know if a lot of you saw the Apple VR the mixed reality headset, the Vision Pro. Um, they're partnering with Unity as like their content creation platform. There's other game engines, but Unity is probably the biggest one. It's like the industry standard. It's almost like saying Adobe or Photoshop or something like that. It's really big. And like I said, most games that you play online or mobile are probably made in Unity. And most VR experiences are made with Unity as well. So today I want to discuss more about how Unity is utilized not only as a game development for 2D and all that, but in particular for what they're calling XR. And it's back when I say XR, that's a term that covers virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. And there's like different devices that Unity targets. Um, but you could develop for all of those platforms. One cool thing about Unity is like, let's say you have an idea for a game or an experience, you could develop it in Unity once and export it to a lot of different devices. It's very easy to do. There's not a lot of worrying that you have to do about um, what platform I should target. So Unity gives you all those tools, and they're constantly updating everything. Um, and so yeah, we'll dive into it. Um, so let me show you first, I guess, what Unity looks like, the game engine, so that you could get an idea of what it is, and then we'll dive into the Learn platform so that you could see what is offered. Because one cool thing that you could do is that at your clubhouse or T-Tech centers, the youth that go there, if they're really interested and want to deep dive into this, they could learn and take the coursework and then get certified with Unity. And again, if you have a Unity certification, it's a pretty good high in demand skill to be a Unity developer, especially with all the metaverse technologies and Web 3.0 and VR and now with Apple coming into the scene, I think it's going to be a high demand skills. So let me share my screen and I will actually, you know what? Let me show you the Unity platform first because I have another thing open, um, which will make sense right now, but it's something with Lego that's really cool that collaborated with Unity and it's to get started in the platform. But let me show you the website. So let me share my screen. So cool. Awesome. You guys could see, right, the screen. Perfect. Cool. So first off, this is the Unity website, in particular for VR. So built for virtual reality with Unity. And here, like I said, a lot of the experiences that you see in VR are probably built in Unity. I'm guessing, for example, that Tribe XR, for those that participated, was built on Unity. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing that it's probably built on there. Um, so there's a lot of tools for developers, and like I said, when it comes to Unity and VR, it's not only about gaming; it's a platform for other areas in VR that are utilized, right? So as you can see here in this picture, it's kind of like they're using it for architecture, obviously all the video games and everything, but it has so many um, use cases, and Unity is kind of like the professional platform to do it on. So here are more, you could, go through this website and see. And so here's like everything that you need as a developer that it tells you. This thing called right here, the XR Interaction Toolkit. This is the toolkit that gives you all of the everything you need to create for any device that is VR or AR. And so it includes everything, even the upcoming Apple headset. If you wanted to learn about how to develop for that platform, you could start doing it with this XR toolkit. So this is just kind of like the intro website, but of VR, in particular of VR. But what I want to show you as well is the not Codespace, Unity Learn. So Unity Learn is the learning platform that Unity has created for you to gain the skills. So you learn how to use Unity, right? And if you go through their learning pathways, you'll be ready for a career in VR or gaming, the gaming industry. It doesn't have to be VR, but anything that Unity is utilized in, including a lot of the STEM careers like education and engineering and architecture. Um, this is the Unity Learn platform. As you can see here, this is the Welcome to Unity Learn platform. Get access to over 750 hours of on-demand and live learning resources to help you bring your vision to life. That's their welcome message. Unity Learn is now free because it used to cost money. So it's awesome that it's free. And this is it. This is where you kind of, whatever you want to learn about using Unity, you can come and start to see the what is needed. So for example, if people that want to start learning Unity, you have these learning pathways that I highly suggest you dive into. For example, this Unity Essentials, it takes 2 weeks and it gives you the foundational um, components of Unity and how to work with it. It doesn't even take you 2 weeks. I think you could probably do it in 1 week. Most of these are actually, you could take probably less time and filling them out. And you'll get like a little certification, a little badge, not certification, but a little badge that you could then upload to LinkedIn or something like that. So your youth, if they wanted to, do this Unity Essentials, they could get a little badge and then display it in their resume and their portfolios, things like that. The easiest ones to get into are going to be Unity Essentials and the Creative Core um, learning paths. Why do I say it's easier? Because these don't have a lot of or very little or to no coding component to it. The other ones, for example, this one that's the junior programmer, is an introduction into how to code in Unity and get games going, as well as the VR development and mobile development will need a little bit more, but it's not necessary. If you were to take a course, a introductory course on just computer programming and how computers, computer programming languages work, these would make a lot of sense because a lot of the code that is used in Unity, it's not code that you are writing. It's more like a lot of copying and pasting, and you could get things to work. And you don't need to have a very deep understanding of how things work coding wise to get something working. For example, I'm not a coder, but I do dive in a little bit into it. And now with the AI, Chat GPT has been very helpful because I've asked Chat GPT to write me out scripts of like, hey, I want this thing to do this, and it'll spit out a script that I could then utilize in Unity. So this is the learning. This is the website, and then this is when you log in. This is so right here is welcome back, Gustavo. For me, I am doing these programs. There's this one that I really highly suggest that you get into if you want to focus on VR, which is this one, Create for VR for Educators, and this one, Create with VR. They're both the same content. It's just that the Create for VR gives you resources that you could use as a teacher or as a coordinator at the Clubhouse two tech centers. And this is what the platform looks like. So when you're going through this learning platform, um, it's a website, it's all online. And I'll show you the course introduction, for example. You're going through here in these modules that give you all of this information. Gives you like a course overview. So everything in the middle. So on the left-hand side is the entire course, while on the right-hand side in the middle, it's the where you're doing your learning content. So you would go through this. I'm trying to see if there's a video that I could show you. So watch. Let's see what the first video that they'll give you.
I think if you're just starting out teaching Unity or teaching the Create with VR, is a couple of things. One, have a very high tolerance for mistakes, not just in your students, but also in yourself. Because if you're new to it, it's not going to be familiar right away. The students are willing to learn right alongside you and pick up the stuff as we go. So even if it's the first time going through a tutorial, it's okay. And I just tell the students, hey, just so you know, I've never done this part before, so I'm learning this right along with you. and they actually enjoy that rather than them being disappointed, which is what I was expecting. I think it's also important to set the tone of that classroom culture as a friendly but hardworking place.
What made me choose Unity was the fact that students can get as involved as they want to be with any of the aspects of virtual reality creation. And having that flexibility of involvement really enabled us to teach it in a flexible way and in the way that best suits the students. Richard Feynman once said that the best way to learn is to teach. And I think that this has 100% been my experience. And so Create with VR for educators is not just a really good way to learn how can you actually apply this to the classroom and get students comfortable in creating virtual reality experiences, but it's also a really good way to learn it.
Traditionally, when you teach programming or anything like that, you do like a console log and print to the console, right? And you print, hello world, like my name is blah blah, and like that gets very dry pretty quickly. But with Unity, you can like right away they can engage and they can play around with the engine and see what's happening in real time and change it around. The fact that they can drop the cube into the engine and right away they can see like, oh, this went wrong or I need to do this. It's awesome.
And I started to realize just how powerful this kind of technology could be for educational purposes, because there are so many things that you can add into your classroom. There's so many things to explore and so many opportunities that you can open up for kids that they literally can't do if we don't have technologies like this. And so students are learning these things at the same time and oftentimes with the same kind of hardware and the same kinds of challenges that professional developers are going into.
So as you're going through this course, and then I was part of a live sessions that every once in a while they have these live sessions. So if you go here to the tutorial live sessions, they had like these office hours, the people that work at Unity, and they had, so last year I was part of this September 2022 cohort. And so I was part of this whole process of Create with VR. But so this is the Learn platform, and as you're progressing along and you are finishing the tasks that you're working with. So for example, here, the VR software setup. You mark things to, like, for example, let's see really quick the overview and then what happens.
Before you can create with VR, you need to set up your computer and your VR device to communicate with each other. On your computer, that means installing the right version of Unity. On your VR device, that means setting it up in developer mode so that you can use it for testing. And to get them to communicate with each other, depending on the VR headset and computer you have, you might need additional cables or to install it.
So they give you an overview of each thing, and then once you're done, you mark it as complete. So and so you're done. And so it gives you every step of the process. And these are short. They've designed them to be short, so like within an hour you're done with each one of these. It probably been less if you're a little bit familiar. So so it gives you all the steps, which is really cool. So I really love this platform to start learning Unity, and the best thing about it is that it's free. And again, like I said earlier, if you follow a lot of these things that you're completing are also, they cross. For example, if you're doing things in the junior programming that can be utilized in the VR development, you're taking one course module and it fits both certificates or both learning pathways. And so if so while you're so for example, right now that I'm doing that I did the Create with VR course, that course content fits into the VR development coursework. So it's like I already did part of this VR development coursework to do it here. So yeah, it's really cool. So and again, I'm focusing right now on the VR aspect of it, but if your youth are interested in video game development or mobile development, it's the same thing. There's a lot of different pathways that you could go into. So although we're focusing on VR, Unity is utilized in so many other areas. outside of just VR or gaming. Yeah, are there any questions right now about the Unity Learn platform? That's good. Okay. So that's what I wanted to introduce. And now let me show you the actual game engine and really cool tutorials and things that they have that you could get started on it really quick. And with the youth, it's really fun. So I downloaded already um, a, um, a program, but I want to show you very quick. When you download Unity, you have this thing called the Unity Hub, and the Unity Hub is this hub where you're kind of managing all of your projects, right? This is where you start new projects, you start doing things. There's different versions of Unity, right? There's some versions that are newer than older, but this right here, this one where it says right here, learn. This is where it's really cool because if you're starting to learn, you have all the tutorials that can go along with you. So in the Unity Learn Hub, it gives you these all of these tutorials to get started. So and they're very easy, right? So the create with VR is one that I did. It's a beginner's course, but anything that you want to focus on is on here. One of the really cool things that I think your youth are going to like at Clubhouses is that there is this featured no this where is it actually if I have to go back to projects, if I go to create project, new project, I already have one created, but I just want to show you the process. Right here tells you all of the different projects that you could set up or the templates that are ready to go. So for example, if you're making a 2D game, there's the 2D. If you're doing a 3D game, it's 3D setup right here. This thing called the URP is called the Universal Render Pipeline, which is really cool because what that means is that it's a way that you could develop for multiple devices. So say you want to develop for PlayStation, Xbox, things like that, you could just using the Universal Render Pipeline export to all of those. But this one right here is what I want to show you. It's the Lego micro game, and it's for learning. So I downloaded this template, and it's very fun because it's easy to create games with Legos in Unity. You'll see what I mean right now. So minimize this one. So right here, I have the Unity open, and I have this tutorial, which is the Lego tutorial template. And so I could start right here, right? It'll guide you through it. So for example, it tells you here, enter play mode. And you start clicking around. So we're right now dealing with the editor. This is what the editor looks like. But look, it already gave you a game that you can already play with, and this is ready to go, right? It's right out of the box, and it works. So you have this world. It's ready. It's set up. Once you go through here, you go, for example, right here to player. It says click right here on player mining. So as you're clicking along, it's guiding you through the, let's do it, change the speed. Let's see, change the max speed to, it tells you what to do. So 13, okay, so right here, I need to change it to 13, press enter. And as you're going along with this, you're able to go to the next places. So that's sort of what I wanted to show you with this. And let me exit the tutorial, and just to show you a little bit more of the what's going on here. So this is the game. Over here on the left hand side is your hierarchy. This is your view where you're doing all of your editing. You're looking at the world that is created here. When you hit this play button, you go into the play mode, as we did right now, and you get the new camera view, and so now you're playing around here. Over here in the inspector, it's kind of like if I click on these objects that are here, these are all the things that make up this character, for example. So I could, put them to start at this position. And when I click play, it'll probably fall down, right? because I placed them higher up. But each item has its own properties. And right here on the side, this is giving you the micro game tutorial so that you could keep going with it. But one of the cool things about this that I like, and I think your Clubhouse members are going to like about it, is that the code, there's no coding, and it's kind of, they did a kind of like a scratch block coding idea concept, but with Lego blocks. And so with these blocks that you have over here, you could control the behavior of the game. And it's quite cool. It's really interesting how that works. So it's what I like about this learning path with the Lego is that it's an easy way to start learning Unity without having to dive very crazy into code. And it's like these building blocks that you can start doing. So let me show you a little bit more. First of all, is there any questions as to what I'm showing right here and everything? Good. All right. The next part that I'd like to show you is that one of the things that I like doing before introducing youth to Unity is introducing them to the other app that's called CoSpaces EDU, because CoSpaces is very similar to the concepts and ideas of a game engine. And for those of you, you probably have heard me many times talk about CoSpaces, but you could kind of see the similarities, right? So this is what I wanted to show you. So for example, right here, I have this scene of a game that I'm kind of working on right now. If I press play, I go into this play mode and I could start flying my plane around and it shoots these little cubes right now. So similar to what I just did in CoSpaces, that looks easier. It's the same thing over here, right? I'm hitting the play button on my Unity, and I'm going into play mode exactly the way that it's done in Unity. Now, Unity looks way more complicated than CoSpaces, so that's why I like introducing these concepts. Over here on the left-hand side, you have the hierarchy, which is all of the things that are inside of the game. So for example, if I go to Lego models, you can see that it's made up of all of these things. If I click on one of them and I go over here, hover, press, it sends me to the objects. So this hierarchy gives me all the game objects. Similar in CoSpaces, I have a hierarchy. Right now, it's pretty simple because my hierarchy only has a camera, a pyramid, which is an invisible object that I have, and an airplane, and that little cube. So it's a similar way to kind of introduce Unity, because it's CoSpace is more like, I don't want to say it's more like a dumbed down version, but it's more accessible version that people don't get overwhelmed by. But the concepts are very similar. Then you have your library. You have your characters that you could drag and drop into the scene. All of this, the same thing, right? Over here in the Unity Learn, I have my under assets, I have all my library things, and so here under let me see, models, right? I could go look inside models. Say rock. These are okay. These are it gives you a little preview over here, but I could just drag and drop these rocks. Like maybe I want to put one right here. Actually, oh, I think that was a pretty big rock. I just put this rock, but it's actually bigger than what I thought it was. Something's gonna scale it, but I just placed that rock the way I just kind of drag and drop it from CoSpaces. So what's another thing that we do here? You have your library, you have your environments, all of these things that you could upload. Your 3D assets, the same thing. I could just drag and drop 3D models into this Unity scene, and it'll work. The next thing is the coding, right? The same thing that applies in Unity applies here. Just that this is a little bit easier. So I have my plane selected, and you saw that it was moving and doing things. I have the code right here where it says use code blocks. With code blocks, is kind of like Scratch. And again, look, if I go right here, this is the code of my airplane. So that's my script that I'm running right now of the plane. It's a little bit easier than Unity, but it's the same thing. It's just drag and drop scripts onto the objects that are in your scene, and they'll have behavior. So, so I think that that's a very powerful sort of tool to get Unity so that Unity is not as intimidating when you get students into it, because you could get youth to create things in CoSpaces very quickly, and they'll understand what it is to rotate models, what it is to create scenes, different attach scripts. They'll have that fundamental concepts that when they dive into Unity, it's way easier. It's like, oh, I get it, and the only difference is that Unity just has way more functionality and more professional tools, but it's a very cool transition to get CoSpaces to Unity for youth, and then they'll start creating. And then with the Unity Learn platform, you could go on and take it as further as you want. So yeah, so I wanted to pause for a minute. I don't want to keep talking to you. I want to give you a chance, maybe if you're on your system, to download um, Unity if it works, or CoSpaces if you want to play with it. Maybe we could follow along with one of the tutorials, given the time permitted. Or if there's any questions right now, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or demonstrate more things. Yeah, this is.
You got a question in the chat, Gus.
What's the youngest youth you have used Unity Learn with? Oh, that's a good question. I would, the youngest we've used Unity Learn, I would say 13, 12, 13. Yeah. The starter projects that I showcase, the like the Lego thing, they're very fun and accessible. In fact, for the annual conference, we're gonna dive into one of these starter packs, and as one of the workshops to start to create a game, just to kind of remove it, and in a few hours we'll create something. So yeah, 1213 is it's accessible. Jason, do you have a question?
Yeah, just wondering about computer specs. How demanding of a program is Unity Hub?
Yeah, you're right. I think it depends on the Unity version, but yeah, let's look that up. Because it is, yeah, that is going to be it might be a barrier. Now, before we look into that, there is a very cool thing that Unity offers called I I think it's something about Unity Cloud, and you could use Unity through a Google Chromebook because they handle all of the processing, which is really cool. So they give you the editor, but it's like a web-based. That's another cool thing about CoSpaces. CoSpaces is a web-based editor. You don't have to download anything the way that you have to download Unity. But I believe that cloud-based system of Unity costs money. So I haven't looked into it. It's not like a thing that it's free and easy to get, and it's more meant for like institutions and schools that that are teaching Unity, but it's on there. But let's see what let me just Google Unity system requirements.
Got the specs in the chat there, Gus.
Oh, did you? Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah, so the Unity editor, yeah. So right here it gives you in the Unity documentation. So it looks like everything since Windows 7. It's pretty interesting. I want to say that I haven't ran into a lot of issues with a lot of computers. Like it's worked for the most part. Obviously, you're not going to be able to run this on a Google Chrome. Well, it's not even a Windows system, but but if you have Mac, it works pretty well. So any
Yeah,
any Mac system.
I have a M1 Mac Mini, and I'm just downloading and installing the program right now. I'm hoping that that should be fine.
Oh yeah, no, it's more than more than fine. Yeah, with any of the new M chip Macs, it's gonna run ideally.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, yeah. Any other questions you might have for now? Well,
I have one for you, Gus. I'm sorry.
yeah. No, go ahead, Chantal. Yeah.
Would you mind actually going back and showing the steps to get to where the Lego aspect was? I think I just like missed where it was.
So when you download Unity, remember that you're also downloading another separate software that's called the Unity Hub, which is where you manage all of your Unity projects. And this is it. So I have right now the Unity Hub open. Usually, I think if you go under the all templates, for me, it might not be on here for you yet because I think you might have to download the template in order to get it. It would be under learning. And right here is this one. For example, I'll show you the process, for example, of this other one that's called the cart, micro cart gaming. And this is a 30-minute tutorial that introduces Unity, and you're creating a video like a Mario Kart game, which is really cool. I really recommend it too. So this is what you would do. You would download this template, and it'll do its thing. It'll probably take around about 5 minutes, maybe. I'm guessing. And so I'll just put a cart game as a project, create project. And so right now on Unity Hub, it's creating my project. I'll have 2 instances of Unity open, one for the Lego one that I showed you, and then the other one. I'm not sure if I might have to close one. We'll see right now. But this tutorial is really cool. I was actually thinking of using this tutorial as part of the conference to teach people that want to create a video game really quick. And no coding in this one. All the scripts are already there. So it's really cool. And again, what I like to emphasize is that Unity is really, it is it's a professional tool. And so I don't think, depending on what your youth want to create and depending on the interest, I wouldn't recommend so much Unity if they don't put the effort to like learn it a little bit more. They might want to create something quick and they might just be happy with code spaces, which is fine. But youth that want to like take it a little bit further, where they're like, hey, yeah, maybe I want to like get certified, then make them go dive deep into the Unity platform, because a lot of the stuff that they want to create, they could probably create it on CodeSpaces without having to have that deep learning curve of Unity, and get the same result that they were looking for, right? So, for example, if you have a youth that wants to do a 360 video and show you the Clubhouse, it could be done much quicker and easier on CodeSpaces than it on Unity. So I just say that just to not to discourage anyone, but it's more like maybe that's something you need to measure so that the youth that you don't feel like they're getting frustrated with the program and they just kind of give up, because kind of like they said at the beginning, you're gonna fail a lot in this one, and so it's actually a great learning tool to be persistent and keep up with the project. But if you feel that your youth are getting really frustrated, just want to create something a little bit quicker and faster, CodeSpaces might be able to do it much quicker. So anyway, but what I've noticed too is that once they understand CodeSpaces and they move on to Unity, like I mentioned earlier, they love the platform. They understand it a little bit better, and then they just dive in, and their confidence goes up with how they're creating. So this is the card game, and before I load this card game, did that answer your question, Chantel? It's in the Unity Hub thing. So So karting microgame, make your own microgame. Let's see, let's go to tutorials. It's similar to the other one. We play the play scene. We have our game.
And Gus, you know you got your screen share is cut, right? I don't know if you
Oh, I have to. I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry. Let me. Sorry, I was not. Yeah, there it goes. Now it's sharing, right? So very quickly, sorry, I guess you didn't see that earlier. So in the Unity Hub in the Learn section here is where you would find the what to install. And under projects, when I created a new project, once I downloaded it's right here. So the cart micro game. All of these templates are available for you. And so because I just downloaded the micro card game, I'm able to create a new project of that template. And so now, I'll go back to this. So again, it's giving me the tutorial is this window is giving me the tutorial on the steps I need to take. And again, the hierarchy. Let's see, I didn't read the instructions, but it told me to increase the top speed to 20 by using the number field. So I'll do that really quick in the number field. And so I don't think the speed is on base speed. Oh no. Did I miss a step right here? Let's see. Once you let the game object on the components. Base stats. I'm not seeing the base stats. Oh, right here. Oh, okay, base stats, and it told me to put it to 20. So I'll go to the next step. So again, you would want to go along with this these tutorials, and you have your game. And the cool thing about this project, the cart game, it takes 30 minutes. So to introduce someone to Unity, this is a really cool introduction to it too. And then I would recommend the Lego one. They want to get a little bit dive deeper because the Lego blocks, you start kind of stacking them, and it's similar to Scratch. It does behaviors that you could get more work with it. Well, I hope it didn't crash, really. But yeah, are there any other questions? And obviously too, like it does take a little bit of a lot to set up and everything. That's why today's workshop was more like a showcase of what's the Unity Learn platform and everything, because it's actually hard to do these to get everybody, as Jason asked earlier, what is the spec requirements? I don't know if your computer would be able to run Unity. So today wasn't about doing a hands-on Unity thing, if more introducing the engine and the learning platform and resources, so that you could see if you could implement it in your clubhouse. Now at annual conference, we will be diving into Unity more hands-on, and so we'll create a project there if you're interested. But,
Gus, I had a question. As far as your members, are you finding that your members have been, once you introduce it, they've been into like the designing and the scripting process? And then how many of them have stuck with their games or their projects until completion, like percentage wise or whatever, or ballpark?
yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question, Jeff. So some of our members have worked on it more when we're doing like just certain projects, like, hey, well, let's create it. But it's a very small teams, to be honest. It'd probably be maybe like at most 4 youth that are competent with the Unity software. But but everybody, has played with it and gets it. But that's why I say that there's youth that will just dive more deep into it. I don't have any youth that have completed yet any of the learning pathways. But we're looking into maybe making a internship that is about doing one of these learning pathways, so that they could walk off out of the clubhouse with that skill. But what I do notice, Jeff, too, is that there's youth that focus on other areas that are not Unity related, but can complement Unity. And for example, we have a youth right now that's really good with Blender. And so, some youth will be like, "Hey, create some 3D asset for us for the Unity," and so they'll do that. They could do that because that's, again, there's other complementary software for Unity, and one of them is 3D modeling. So yeah, there's other youth that have been more in the design rather than the development and Unity aspect of it all. So, but yeah, very few, Jeff, that will dive in deep into everything, right? Now, there's some that have been to like understand the coding and be like, "Oh yeah, I'll do the coding," and then but they're just focusing on some coding, not on other, like, let's say, level design or something like that. So yeah,
Gotcha.
that's another thing about Unity, that there's a lot of members in the professional world. There's a lot of different people utilizing Unity. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a developer. You don't have to know how to code. You could use Unity as a designer, to set up levels, to set up things up, and then you can have a coder is like, "Hey, here's the environment." Then they can start putting in the behaviors and everything. So even one of the learning pathways that was called the creative core is based on more on the lighting, the graphics, the modeling, rather than the coding. So so you could compartmentalize a lot of the skill sets that are needed for to use Unity.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, question, Gus. I guess it's kind of that to that point too, but do you have any experience, or like, can you speak to other things outside of game development? Do you see other things Unity is used for, like animated films, project staging, like a product staging? Like, do you see any other uses besides games?
Yeah, especially with the VR. One popular thing that we used to do, and we were using Unity as more as the platform to view VR rather than development. We used to use SketchUp to make 3D homes. And so they were tasked with like, "Hey, what would your dream home look like?" And that was more of a 3D design workshop, you could say. But we would use Unity to export their file into a headset. And so they would, and they would really love that. So that's another cool thing, right? Like when you could use other tools to create VR content and just use Unity to export and make like an app for the headset that you could just dive in there. So yeah, we've used it like that for things that they want to create and just explore and walk around in.
Oh, that's cool.
That is cool. So you mean like designing it in SketchUp and then using Unity to bring it into the VR so that they can walk through the home that they just made?
Yes. Yeah.
That's
And
great.
yeah, and in fact, I wanna emphasize that other tools are used more than Unity. So you don't want to use Unity, or it's not typically used as a 3D modeling tool. It's more like Unity is more of bringing in those 3D models that are created elsewhere and environments, and putting them together. For example, the skybox. Remember the what is it called, Jeff? The sky. This is
Blockade Labs.
Blockade Labs, right? In that
Yeah.
one, you could create a 360 image of a video game environment, and so you could create that and then upload it to Unity, put your 3D model in there, and export it into a VR headset.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Unity. You think of Unity more as it's the 3D modeling is not done there, not there. Unity is used more with the lighting, um, and the level designs. You could say the design things, but usually a lot of these assets are already created in other apps. For example, UI interfaces could be created on Photoshop or even Canva, right? And then so you have these PNGs that you then import into Unity, and all you have to do is like, okay, this is going to be the button that people click, but you created that elsewhere, and in Unity you're just coding it, giving it its behavior, and then uploading it to your app. So yeah, the pipeline is, there's a lot of different tools that help out Unity.
Hey, just real quick, you mentioned that Blockade Labs. I just put that link into the chat. Do you want, just super quick, do you want to just, that's an amazing little asset when you're talking about bringing things together. Do you want to just like super quick just explain what that is, Gus?
Yeah, and I'll showcase it. So
Oh yeah, you got to share again too.
Yeah, my computer is still with the little, I think it crashed, so see if I could
And it cut, it cut your share again too.
yeah, let me see if I could share my screen again. All right, so we'll just leave this to the side over here. So this is a very powerful tool, and for this for Unity and CoSpaces, I'm going to show you right now really quick on CoSpaces how quickly we could do this. So can somebody give me a prompt of something y'all want to create? Let's say a world that you want to. So the cool thing. So right now we're gonna just, this is some AI generated 360 image that we just say create this world, and it'll generate it for us. So it could be anything. So if anyone has any wild idea, we could try it out.
How about a tropical island?
But let's do that. Let's do tropical island. But let's add some something crazy. I don't know, something
Unicorns.
Okay. With unicorns. In space. Let's see what that looks like, right? So
Yeah.
so you have a lot of, you have like, for here, right here it says digital painting. You could choose a lot of different what is it called? Different like looks. But we'll just we'll generate it, and it'll do its thing. And so this is, you could create these, you could create these backdrops for your 360 scenes, in particular for VR, very quickly, right? So here's our, there it is. Right. So tropical, I don't see the unicorns, but okay, but it
I feel like that color scheme is definitely giving uniform vibes.
yeah, there you go, the unicorn vibes there for sure.
The essence of the unicorn.
So the next thing you want to do is just download this image, right? And so you could download it as a PNG, a JPEG. So download it.
Yeah, it does. It's primarily for landscapes. So it does, when I've put characters in there, try to put characters, it does that. It doesn't do that as well, but it's amazing for like landscapes.
Yeah. And so this is AI generated right now that it's downloading. What I'll do is I will put it into CoSpaces. Oh, so I have to do, let me do a new CoSpace. So right here, CoSpaces gives you these 360 images. So again, this is what I'm saying, this is pretty easy. And so I am going to, yeah, let's go to this top. And, so I'm just gonna drag Yeah, there we go. So I go to my desktop, it's right here.
So Gus, can you explain the difference between what it's doing right now as a 360 image as opposed to the actual 3D kind of environment where you'd be able to walk through it?
So right now it's kind of like it's just a 360 image, like that I put over here as you can see. The difference is that CoSpaces doesn't allow you to use this as the backdrop the way that in Unity it can. So in Unity, you could actually, in Unity it's called the skybox. And what happens is that the image that we just downloaded, it would be like your background of the 3D scene. Unfortunately, CoSpaces doesn't do that. It only does this environment, but you could still drag and drop things into this environment. Although it's not really you can't move around. Wait, let me see. I think you can't move around. Yeah, it's only rotating. So even though I put these things there, I can't move forward. That's the only difference. But in Unity, you can. In Unity, you could move forward because you'll have your 3D space and the background would be this image.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just a little minor thing that
And soon I just saw something on Blockade Labs where it looks like there's a waiting list. They're going to be able to turn those images into 3D maps so that you can like walk behind that boulder and whatnot.
yeah, I had read about that too, Jeff. Yeah, I read about that and I was like, whoa, that's really cool because it's like it's generating the 3D environment as well.
Right.
Let me see if I could yeah, I don't see it doesn't give me the it gives me a 3D landscape, not a not a background.
Just a time check, Gus. We have 2 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, well that's pretty much it. I just, hopefully you get something out of the Unity Learn and the tutorials and all that's available. Unity is really well has a huge community. There's a lot of support, a lot of documentation. So anyone that wants to deep dive into Unity and create more professional apps and things, it's a great app. I love it. So
Great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining. We appreciate you. There will be a recording of this on the Clubhouse Connect page. That Connect page is called Discover. Um, and it's our VR, again, it's our VR program, the TCN's VR program initiative. It includes resources and these workshop series. So appreciate you, Gus. This is your second one. And I know you're going to knock it out the park at the annual conference as well with the workshops there. So this is like a preview to the annual conference. So make sure to sign up for Gus's sessions.
yeah. No, yeah. So yeah, we'll dive into Unity at the annual conference.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in.